Well, it may be hard to believe, but school for most students in the area starts in just a few weeks. This week, we will be taking a look into how major school districts in the area are prepping and what parents need to know to make the experience as safe as possible. 3 News Now reporter Ruta Olsenider sat down with an UNMC expert who's been helping schools develop a plan on how to return safely, if returning at all.
COVID-19 is still a relatively new virus, and we learn new information almost every day. But what we do know for sure is that the virus is complex and dangerous.
What we do know about the virus is up to 60% of people that are infected with the virus do not have a visible illness or clear signs and symptoms that would tell them or anyone else they're sick.
It's this information that makes the return to school in just a few weeks an incredibly stressful time for parents.
The primary stressor, the biggest unknown, is how is this all going to play out?
The plan by most districts for now is to have students physically return in some form come August. Different school districts have laid out a color-coded system of reopening from green to red. Ralston Public Schools recently moved from green to yellow, while other school districts are still at a green level, meaning a 100% return back to school. So what happens if COVID-19 cases continue increasing in different counties?
If the current trend of increased cases in our community continues, we're likely to see schools move to full remote learning or delayed starts.
Remote learning is an option many school districts have thought out but not yet put into practice, like Papillion La Vista Community Schools.
We've built several plans. We've built a 50% plan out. We've built a full remote learning plan out.
And what if someone in the class or a teacher is infected with the virus?
We're going to be very transparent. It's in everyone's best interest to minimize the spread. So if we have a student that has tested positive and other students or staff members have been exposed, we're going to notify those families immediately.
County health departments will make that decision as to who should quarantine, which also depends on the precautions that were being taken in those specific settings.
If no one's wearing a mask, it's going to impact the whole class. If that individual isn't wearing a mask, it's going to likely impact the whole class or a larger group of people. But by having mask as an intervention, it's probably going to reduce the number of people that are deemed at risk and need to stay home.
If students have to quarantine, what happens to attendance if a student is only allowed to miss a certain number of days during the school year?
Our attendance policy is going to be much more relaxed this year, and we understand that.
It looks like most districts will be more lenient this year. Even the Nebraska Department of Education has come out with a plan to help those students that do have to miss school due to COVID-19. Overall, the rules seem much more relaxed on attendance, and even if a student is out on quarantine, they could still be counted in attendance if they learn remotely. And finally, what are the odds that schools actually return in 100% capacity in a few weeks?
Based off of the transmission rates from the last week, if we stay at the level of transmission we're at, or if the level of transmission increases, I'll be surprised if schools in our area open at capacity.
Of course, parents will continue to have questions, which is why it's important to maintain communication with your school district and follow county health measures and advice. Reporting in Omaha, Ruta Olsenider, 3 News Now.
Dr. Lowe also adds that based off the threshold put in place by multiple health experts, the Omaha metro community is above the threshold of cases at which schools should be considering in-person schooling.